There's more than one God. Black Hebrew Israelite Theology.
And maybe country music singer, songwriter Chase Matthew, who Sunday...
My bad, y'all. Let me just make sure how we looking right here. There is more than one God inside Black Hebrew Israelite Theology. Y'all, let me know if my soundboard, audio, visual is good. Genesis. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Abba Yahweh, and we do so by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. This is an importante. Let me do a poll here. Let's see. Yeah, this is important, y'all, because we're getting into the divine council. I did a video on this, on the divine council years and years ago. Not in light of, but taking some certain information from the late Dr. Michael Heiser, who I would consider to be one of the foremost 21st century theologians and scholars. He went in great lengths dealing with the divine council. So we want to talk about that. I know our brother Divine Prospect also teaches on the divine council. What is the motivation and influence behind this live stream today, this class today? Because, you know, the Paul situation in 1 Corinthians 8 and 1 Corinthians 10, eating meat offered to idols, a lot of brothers and sisters' position is the idol is nothing. So therefore, if you don't believe it, you can eat it. No other gods exist. I heard our brothers say on the discussion, nothing exists outside of Yahweh. And I'm just like, well, you know, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ, is a god. Satan is a god. The angels are called God, Elohim, Theos. Demons are called Elohim, Theos. And so there is more than one God. The proper terminology that Israelites should use if they had to subscribe is monolatrism. Monolatrism is the belief and worship of one God without denying the existence of others who were under that one God who created the other entities. Can we prove that in the Bible? Absolutely. I want to bring that that definition up as well. Monolatrism or monolatry. Right. Let's bring that definition up. And then I also want to get this as well. Let's move this all the way here and move this in here as well. Hebrews 1. Hebrews 1 teaches two gods as well. Hebrews 1. Hebrews 1 teaches that there are two gods. So I want to start there. That's where I want to start. And also I want to go to 1 Corinthians 8 as well again. So this will be the catalyst or the motivation behind this video. I just want to explain something because I think it's important to understand and know that the Bible is not monotheistic in the sense of there is only one God. Yeah, and I know people wanted me to talk to Yahweh all about it during the discussion, but that would have took away from what we were trying to. Then we would have to talk about the divine council. I'm sure Yahweh all I'm sure, I believe that he talks with Divine Prospect all the time. So I'm pretty sure that he's heard of the divine council, and just doesn't subscribe to it. So either way, I wanted to just show how apparent it is in the whole Bible. So look at 1 Corinthians 8 and 6 again. It says, verse 4, so then about eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that an idol is nothing at all in the world, but there is no God but one. Is Paul denying other gods? No. He's speaking to the supremacy, the hegemony, the apex of the Father, Yahweh, how he is the ultimate and supreme. That doesn't deny the existence of other beings, other entities, other gods, other deities, right? He even says it here. There's many so-called gods, whether in heaven, those are actual entities, or on earth, those are the idols. As indeed, he says, indeed, there are many gods and many lords, yet for us, the Israelites, we serve God the Father. So he even says that here. But so I don't want to make this about meat sacrifices to idols, even though I'm going to touch on it a little bit more. But this is just showing you that this is not monotheistic, even in Paul's writings. We would be monolatry. What is monolatry? The worship of one God. Matthew 4:10 says that we worship one God. That's Christ's, that's a commandment that serve. Strong's G3000, the Greek word latreia, the highest form of worship and divine service that only goes to the Father per the Torah and per the words of Christ, without the denial of existence of other gods who are under that supreme being. I like this. Dr. Michael Heiser goes into this as well. I believe he subscribes to this terminology. So because I did hear my brother Yahweh, and this is not like no disrespect or insult. I'm just speaking on the conversation that was had. I did hear him say, even today on Clubhouse when we spoke to him, he said, everybody under the sound of my voice, there's only one God that exists. Roughly paraphrasing, please forgive me if I'm butchering, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Somebody can come on, comment, and correct me if I'm wrong. That there's only one God that exists, and his name is Yahweh. Now, I disagree with that. Yahweh is the highest God that exists with power over the other gods. Let's show you two gods in Hebrews chapter 1. In Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 7, we're going to show you two gods. Verse 8, but unto the Son he saith, thy throne, O God, calling the Son God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. Then it says, thou hast loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore God, speaking about Christ, even thy God, even your God. So yes, there's gods that exist outside of Yahweh. This is the first example right here. Christ, Yahweh Shai. He's not the most high God, but he's a God. He has a God, but he's being identified as God. Why? It's Theos. It's Elohim. It's the power, an entity or deity in the invisible realm, the fourth dimension that has power. You understand? There's two gods right there. So when Paul says there's only one God, he's not denying the existence of other gods. He's saying that that's our supreme being, Yahweh. Let's go to the divine council. Every Israelite should know about this. Deuteronomy 32:8. We're not going to read the KJV because that's an improper translation. How do I know? Well, we can look at the context and prove that. And we can look at the proof text, and we can look at the LXX. And we can look at other ancient manuscripts that shows how it should be translated. Look at the NLT. When the Most High assigned lands to the nations, when he divided up the human race, he established the boundaries of the people according to the number in his heavenly court. At the Tower of Babel, when the Most High divided the nations, he put gods over them. That's what it's saying right here. This is the account that Moses is speaking about in Deuteronomy 32. Right, KP? That's why he's called the Most High God. So he divided these nations and he put other gods over them, actual entities who still are under the rule of the Most High. Look at other translations. Look at the ESV. It says, when the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the people according to the number of the sons of God. That means however members of the divine council there are, that's how many landmass and nations, geographical locations that he created at this separation with the Tower of Babel. Y'all put a big G in the chat if y'all are keeping up.
I'm way worse.
This isn't esoteric or hard to understand. It's so easy a troglodyte can get it. So then look at the very next verse that proves our point. So he gave the other nations gods. Then he said, but the Lord's portion is his people. But Yahweh's portion is his people. I'm going to put deities over these other nations to govern their gods, but Yahweh is going to govern the children of Israel. That's plain. And how do we also know that they're ruling over the other nations? Isaiah 63:19. We are thine. We are his. Thou never bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name. So God never bare rule over the other nations. He set deities and entities over these other nations. He is not bearing rule over them. They're not called by his name. Let's get some clear examples. Psalms 89:6. For who in the heaven can be compared unto Yahweh? Watch this. Who among the sons of the mighty can be likened unto the Lord? There are sons of the mighty in heaven, and they cannot be compared to Yahweh. They're gods, they're entities, they're the divine council, but they are not comparable to the Most High God. What is this word for mighty in the Hebrew? This word is what? El. Who knows what El means? El means God. It's where we get Elohim, God. God like one, mighty. This is elementary stuff here. So the Bible is saying, who amongst the elves, the gods, and it's saying that they're in heaven. We as a community, I know IHBK likes to brag that they have an unchanging doctrine since 1960s. And that alone, that statement alone shows you that we are almost a century behind. If you haven't changed or updated in almost a century, that's bad. So either we're going to be the Israelites who are not smart, not advancing, or we're going to not be left behind and dig deeper into the text and really understand that knowledge is increasing at the end times. So again, he says, who among the gods in heaven are like Yahweh? That's plain. And the heavens shall praise thy wonders, O Lord, thy faithfulness also in the congregation of the saints. Then when we go to Psalms 86:8, it says, among the gods, there is none like thee. Why the hell would a Hebrew? And this is what I'm saying. When people say, you know, the idol is nothing, there's nothing attached to it, there's no other deities, there's just Yahweh existing. That's a Greco-Roman worldview. From the Hebraic lens, why would we be saying, which one of these statues are like Yahweh? What? That's retarded. We're comparing actual entities that we know exist to Yahweh and saying they can't compare to him. Among the gods, there is none like unto thee, O Yahweh. Neither are there any works like unto thy works. Who among the divine council was like the Most High God? That's what the text is saying. Psalms 82. Psalms 82:1. This is where we get the divine council, that phraseology, I think it's in the, let's see, the ESV. There we go, the ESV. Psalms 82:1. God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. This first part is talking about actual entities in the heavens. This isn't talking about us. God is not sitting down with us, holding court with us. If you think that, you're retarded. You're tarded. You understand that? This is talking about a council that takes place in the heavens.
Shut your black mouth.
Then he starts to talk about the Israelites who are called gods, sons of the Most High. That's the separation within Psalms 82, right? But you see here, he's addressing the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. What are we talking about here? This is all through the book of Psalms. Psalms 29:1. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. What is this word for mighty here? I bet it's El. It's El. The sons of El. So even we see the divine council present here in the book of Job. Job chapter 1 verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh. This is in the heavenly realm, the unseen realm, the fourth dimension. And guess who came? And Satan came also among them. This isn't happening on earth. So we got this divine council. We got entities and beings who are existing in the heavens, governing over the nations, the non-Israelite nations on the earth. But we're going to take what Paul says, and this is, I'm not saying Paul is saying this. I'm saying brothers are misinterpreting what he's saying when he says there is no other God but one. That's a statement of incomparability. Also cited by Dr. Michael Heiser. A statement of incomparability, because then Paul says there's gods in heaven. That will be a contradiction. So he's clearly stating the supreme status of our God, Yahweh, the God of Israel. But if brothers don't understand it like that, they're going to say there is nothing that exists outside of Yahweh is crazy. That's crazy. So let's take a look at this, what Paul says here in Philippians 4:3. It says, and I entreat thee also, true yoke fellow, help those women which labored with thee in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other my fellow laborers whose names are written in the book of life. So Paul says Clement is written in the book of life. This is Clement of Rome, not Clement of Alexandria. Clement of Rome is said to be Peter's disciple. What did Clement say about the divine council? What did Clement say about the divine council? We're going to see.
Way worse. You follow that.
Who heard ISUPK say you can only get a chance at salvation if you're with ISUPK? That was crazy, huh?
You liar.
Now, what did Clement say about the divine council and the existence of other gods? This is Clement's own letter to I think he wrote another one. They said that's not genuine, but it's the oldest extant writings outside of the New Testament. And it says in chapter 29, letter to the Corinthians, let us draw near unto him. Let me make sure y'all can see this. You guys can read this. Let us draw near unto him with holiness of spirit, lifting up pure undefiled hands unto him who made us partakers. For thus it is written, when the Most High divided the nations, he's quoting Deuteronomy 32, when he scattered the sons of Adam, he fixed the bounds of the nations according to the number of the angels of God. His people, Jacob, became the portion of the Lord, and Israel the lot of his inheritance. So Even Clement understands the divine council. The nations were divided to have gods that reign and rule over them. That's Deuteronomy 32:8. That's why the Bible talks about evil angels, demons, calling the angels Elohim. Where does the Bible call the angels gods? Anybody? Show me where the Bible calls the angels gods. You guys should know this. 1 second. Brandy. See how it looks? You see requested that play. What you doing? Wait till it's pitch black, all right? So where do we see this at? We see this in, let me check the chat first. I had to walk away. Let's see. Cap doing his live right now. He's saying John went off and y'all are saying Paul went off. This is crazy. Okay, well, I'm not really worried about it. It is crazy. It is crazy to say. We're looking at the text though. We're looking at the text. We're saying the apostles didn't give liberty to eat food sacrificed to idols, and their commandments are binding in Acts 15. And then we see Paul giving liberty. So at least, even if you don't want to say Paul went off, you can say he defied and was insubordinate to the Acts 15 council at the very least. So let's go to Psalms 8. In Psalms 8. Psalms 8. And Psalms 8:5 says, "For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and has crowned him with glory and honor." What do you guys think this word for angels is here? You guessed it, Elohim, gods. This isn't just statues being called gods. This is the divine council, angels, demons, Satan, actual entities and deities being called gods. In the New Testament, Theos, in the Old Testament, Elohim. So in Deuteronomy 32:17. So now that we prove that there is more than one God, what is happening during when meat is being sacrificed to idols? Why does it pollute the meat? Because Acts 15 says the meat is polluted now. What pollutes the meat? Is it because the meat touched the statue and got a little bacteria on it? No. What happens is that you sacrifice the meat to a lifeless idol, but a spiritual, invisible effect took place. Now the meat is polluted. How do we know that? Deuteronomy 32:17. They sacrifice unto devils, not to God. So the Bible says these sacrifices, although there's a lifeless, dumb idol right there, is still unto demons. Then it calls these demons Elohim. It says to gods. Hold on a second. So these demons are being called God. Whoa. Okay, let's take a look. This is the word for demon, devils. And then it's calling these devils Elohim. This is why the meat is polluted. This is why you can't eat it even though you don't partake in the ritual. If you know it's been sacrificed to an idol, even if it's 2 weeks later, it's still polluted, you don't eat it. Again, Paul says this. 1 Corinthians 10:19. He says that they're sacrificed to idols, but he still gives liberty. They're sacrificed to idols, which is to demons. 1 Corinthians 10:19. What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. This is the Greek word demon. So yes, he says that although there are statues present that are lifeless, they're still doing these sacrifices to actual entities, to beings. So to say, yeah, we can eat it because there's only one God that exists, well, Deuteronomy calls these same devils that Paul's talking about gods. And that's who the sacrifice. So it's being sacrificed to another God, even though a lifeless statue is present. 2 Corinthians 4:4. This is the Greek word theos, the Greek equivalent for Elohim when it comes to God. Paul says, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them that believe. So now we have Paul identifying Satan as God, and this is, oh, that's a little g. Ain't no little g in the Greek and Hebrew. This is the Greek word theos, which is the equivocal to the Hebrew word Elohim, God. Satan is a God. So does only one God exist? Put it in the chat, y'all. I want to see if our community is as dumb as I think it is. I mean, I have to talk like that because if you guys are about to jump off a bridge, how would you want me to talk to you? You know, please, guys, hey, don't jump, man. Don't jump. You know, I'm going to love bomb you. I just say, get your silly ass down, man. You understand that?
Shut your black mouth.
Let's keep going. In Zephaniah 2:11, look at this. The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he will famish all the gods of the earth. Oh, man, that's you know, sometimes, you know, it really sucks when it's really disheartening and discouraging when you feel like our community should know these things and that it's obvious. How can you famish this little statue that I have right here? He can't eat. So how can he be famished? This is the way that the Most High God is going to famish the gods of the earth in the future is the divine council won't be needed anymore because we'll be reigning and ruling and forcing the nations to serve our God. So he is going to destroy the very gods that he put over these other nations. That's how they're going to be famished. They're going to be famished in that way. And they're not going to get punished because they did something wrong. That's anthropomorphic language. They're just not going to be needed anymore. Therefore, they will cease to exist. Where do we see this at? Isaiah 24:21. Let's do some comparative translation here. In Isaiah 24:21, look what it says. In that day, the Lord will punish the gods in the heavens and the proud rulers of the nations on the earth. Look, man, I'm just doing my job. If y'all can't get it, stay heretical. It literally says, the Lord will punish the gods in the heavens. And then he's going to punish the rulers of the nations who are on the earth. What do we do with that? What do we do with that? I would never say John the Baptist is not in the truth. That's ridiculous. We already did lessons on that ad nauseum. Look at another example. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. Look at the NLT. I watched as the thrones were put in place and the Ancient One sat down to judge. Look at the ESV. As I looked, thrones were placed. This is a council that's happening in heaven. So there's thrones placed down, the divine council is sitting, and then the Most High God, who's the ultimate judge, takes his seat. This is what Daniel's seeing. As I looked, thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. Its wheels were burning fire. This, my friends, is the divine council. It's not even arguable. Drop a bomb for the Most High. Drop a bomb for the Most High God. So I just wanted to come on here today because, again, in light of this Paul and idolatry and meat to idols, our community is saying there's only one God, no other gods exist. And then we say Jesus is a God, but not the Most High God. Then we say Satan is God. Then we say the demons are God. Then we say the angels are God. And then we then got 7, 10 gods now, a myriad of gods. But then in one breath say we got one God. We have one God in the sense of supremacy, in the sense he's only dealing with us. And that's not the denial of other gods, Elohim, Theos, entities, beings, deities, ontological powers. To say that is to kind of be stuck in Christianity, but also very rudimentary, with all due respect. So with that being said, any questions, comments, or smoke in the chat? Any questions, comments, or smoke in the chat?
I'm way worse. You follow him.
Baal and the dragon? Aren't they saying there is one most high living God? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I've heard these last few days that nothing exists outside of Yahweh, verbatim that phrase. Questions, comments, smoke in the chat. Questions, comments, smoke in the chat. Can you break down Wisdom of Solomon 14:15? Wisdom 14:15. Wisdom of Solomon 14:15. Once there was a father who was overwhelmed with grief at the untimely death of his child, so he made an image of that child who had been suddenly taken from him. He then honored the dead human being as a god and handed on secret rituals and ceremonies to those who were under his authority. Some brothers take this to be Caesar Borgia. Could it be? Yes, but this is something that happens all the time when people want to hold on to their loved ones, especially from a royal family. According to Psalms 82, verse 6, who became mortal like men? Psalms 82:6 is talking about us. So the context switches. It goes from the divine council to us. They're called El, and I believe we are called Elohim. And if you believe in the New Testament, you would have to also concede and explain it that way. Due to John chapter 10. And also, too, another thing Black Hebrew Israelites get wrong. Every Israelite is not a god. Psalms 82:6, first of all, is dealing with sons, not daughters. But we see what law it's expounding on here. Don't revile the gods, the ruler of thy people. The rulers of the Israelites are gods, not just that nigga Jamal with a 40 ounce in a pack of Newports. Would you say the 10 plagues of Egypt was not random, but attacks on the gods of Egypt, X 12 and 12? Yeah, that's a good point. The Pharaoh's magicians had power. And so there was a lot of deidal warfare. How do we know that? That's the Most High's will. So if the Lord tells a demon to go on a mission, and then he tells an angel to go on the mission, and they're going on the same mission, we can see that playing out in the text. That's crazy sovereignty. Crazy sovereignty, divine providence and ordination. Breakdown on Psalms was terrible. Dan McClain's breakdown on Psalms was terrible. Yeah, I don't know what he really believes. He's just a Bible critic, period. I thought he was a Mormon at first. Revelation 3:20. How can Jesus be a God if the Most High says there's no God besides me? There is no God but I. In the words of Dr. Michael Heiser, that is a statement of incomparability, because the Most High himself talks to other gods. So he's saying that he's the supreme. There's no one on his level. That's the statement of incomparability. Genesis 2:4. These are the generations of the heavens and earth when they were created in the day the Lord made the heavens and the earth. What about it? So this chapter is just a recap of chapter 1. Why do people say the Most High is spirit if he sits on a throne? Well, it's not physical. There's invisible beings can have bodily shapes, if you will. So the capital G is meant for just for Yahweh, right? No. Capitals don't mean nothing. The Hebrew means something. And nobody, Yahweh is attributed to nobody but the Father. Unless you see theophonic language or the law of agency. So it's really contextual. Con, all praises. All right, y'all. Well, I just wanted to come on here and touch on that in light of all of this going on in the community about Paul and meat sacrifice to idols. If an idol is nothing and there's no gods, I wanted to definitely touch on that. But all right, y'all, let's give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. Love y'all, peace, blessings, and Kwam Yasharallah.